So here's a walkthrough of some ugly, down and dirty demo code I wrote. Don't tell anybody I wrote it. This is Arduino, obviously, but the basics are gonna translate to almost any language. So even if you're not an Arduino person, just follow along. Up at the top, this normal stuff you'd see. I have a couple LEDs defined, or a couple pins defined that I'm gonna use for LEDs. Um, we need a couple bytes to work with, or I'm sorry, a couple variables to work with. There you go. Setup, pretty straightforward. We're going to set up our serial. This is the regular hardwire serial, the RxTX on the corner of the Uno board. Just the regular ones you'd use, and the LEDs are outputs. And here's the loop. And the first thing you're going to look for is if you got some serial data. Everything coming from the phone, from the app, is going to come as 2 bytes, period. It'll always be 2 bytes, no more, no less, 2 bytes. And so here, if serial available is greater than 1, then read it. Here it is right here, serial read, and we're reading the 2 bytes that we're receiving. The first one that comes in is going to be the qualifier. That's going to be the letter part of our little code we're using. And then the second one coming in is the data byte right here. And so now we need to deal with this data, parse it, or whatever we want to do. Let me scroll down a bit so I don't confuse you. Here we have a switch case, so we have each of the qualifiers here. Like for instance here, if C comes in, then we know that that's a command from the voice recognition software. And the next byte we're going to get will be the number of the command. So, and for the demo, what I'm actually doing here, you can see serial print received command number blank. I'm actually using the phone's own text-to-speech, or the app's text-to-speech feature, to debug the demo program. So in this case, I'm just bouncing back the data back to the phone. So the phone, if you were to do the voice recognition thing and thus send a command to your robot, or in this case, this sketch, it's going to send back, and your phone will say, received command number blank, a pause so the phone can actually have time to say that, and then the number of the command that you sent it. You can get fancy and stringify all this stuff, and then add your 2 strings, and then send it as one single string with the actual number or whatever data you're sending tucked into the string you're sending. But I'm not an Arduino guy, and I don't know how to do that, and so I made it simple with a little delay. A better example of what your application might look like is something like this here. We got an A, so so we know we hit one of the auxiliary buttons. Let me go ahead and comment out the demo app part of this so you can just kind of see what your program might have. It could be something as simple as this. We start with an A. If it's an A, then we're going to do this stuff here. If the data byte is a 1, then do something. If data byte is 2, then do something else. If it's 3, then do something, whatever. Another option we can do is just put another switch inside of a switch. Go through the first one, if it's qualifier, then do this, and then if the data byte is a 1, do something. If it's a 2, do something else. If it's a 3, do something else. If it's 4, do something else, whatever. So you can nestle a switch case inside of a switch case, and it will work just snazzy. And all of your commands are going to work the same way. Again, with this 2-byte system, with the letter as a qualifier, pertaining to what button was pushed on the phone, and then the number associated with whoever that button does. Auxiliary, command, direction, that's the keypad joystick. G and H, those 2 little send data boxes where you can send a byte, and again, it's just going to be bounced right back to the phone, and the phone will say it aloud so you can hear it. here's your left, right, and X, Y. These four guys here are the tilt joystick part of the app, and here you might want to take the data byte and convert it to the numbers that you're going to send out to your motor driver. So it might be something like, if it's greater than 100, means you're going forward, then convertify it this way, and then zap it off to your motor driver. Or if it's below 100, then convert it this way and make it a reverse command and send it to your motor driver. Whatever you want to do. Same thing with the right motor or the raw X and Y values. In this case, you see analog right, which, God, that phrase drives me nuts. There's no such thing as an analog right. Nevertheless, skip it. This is your LED fader, basically. And as you tilt the phone, the two LEDs that are plugged into, I think, pins 10 and 11, will receive the level of tilt, basically. This data byte, if it comes after an L, will be the left motor based on the tilt of the tilt joystick, or the XY position, etc. And it'll just fade those LEDs back and forth as you tilt the phone around so you can see those working. And then at the end of our serial receive loop, we'll go ahead and clear our 2 bytes so we can use them again. It doesn't muck stuff up the next time through the loop. Another thing you could do is, like, for instance, this G and H. These are those 2 data boxes where we can send a byte to our robot to change variables or thresholds or whatever you need to adjust on your robot when you're testing stuff. One thing you could do here would be your variable equals data byte, and so you can then stick whatever number was in that text box. You can now stick that into another variable, a global variable that can be used elsewhere in your program. Maybe a limit to your speed, or the speed you want to use, or maybe you're testing your encoders and it's the number of counts that you want to, your robot to move forward, on your wheel encoders or whatever. And that's it. Again, this is Arduino, but man, every robot brain is the same. It's just this one uses brackets and others use different kinds of stuff, but everyone has some kind of switch case sort of set up, and you can go through the qualifiers that way. Everyone's got if statements. We all know how to do that. Every code, every language is going to have some kind of serial setup command to do that, and everyone's going to have some kind of command to check your serial or check your buffer or however your serial comes in, and that's it. It's that simple. Again, this is set up so you don't have to use my software on your robot, and you don't have to build your robot to match my app. Everything is sent as this convenient little 2-byte letter number combination, and you just make it do whatever you want it to do when those various combinations of numbers and letters come in. That simple. Do anything you want to do. Use your imagination. So there you go. I'm sorry this code is chunky and ugly, but it'll work and it'll show you kind of how things are coming in. More information at rocketbrandstudios.com. There's a PDF there with all the commands and all that kind of more information on how everything works. And if you're watching this, it means you probably bought my app. So thanks bunches. And feel free to email me. I'm really, really helpful, and I'll be nice and answer all your questions. Thank you.